Hopefully she won't imitate this. Perseus was starting to regret it. Even he couldn't help but think, does Brother Alan deserve to be this guilty? That's not so bad. It would be even worse if Ivissa were taught something bad. However, Alan jumped so well. That move was really difficult. Ignoring the strange looks from the three women, Perseus, while suffering, also enjoyed the spectacle. And surprisingly, he felt a unique kind of tingling pleasure. Chapter 122, The Only Savior. Lying on the bed, Alan let out a blood-curdling scream, sending chills down the spines of those who heard it. He was found lying on the roadside by passing villagers and brought back. His predicament was obvious to many, and Talk hurriedly summoned the town's best doctor, Old Hans, a second-tier light mage skilled in healing. Alan's room was packed with people. Talk, Gina, Old Hans's apprentice Gade. Perseus stood at the doorway, not wanting to see that ugly thing, Alan. Although that thing has now turned into a bloody mess stuck to my pants. Ivissa and the others stood outside the door. Winnie was initially curious and wanted to see, but Perseus's glare intimidated her into silence. After checking the situation, Hans removed the gauze covering Alan's private parts, his expression grave. Hans, how is it? Talk's heart sank when he saw Hans's face, but he still had to ask. Hans sighed, no fatal wounds, no life-threatening danger, but young Master Alan's. Well, he can't be saved. Upon hearing this, Alan cried out even more pitifully, sobbing and wailing as he did so. Talk and Gina were extremely anxious. Gina had already been crying, and now she was crying even more heartbrokenly, tears streaming down her face. Even you can't do anything about it. Talk smiled bitterly. Hans said with some shame, actually, as you know, what happened to young Master Alan is not unusual in this town. People have come to me, but I really can't help. Healing injuries is not difficult, but restoring completely damaged organs to their original state and making them function normally is something that I, a mere second-level mage, simply cannot do. I estimate that at least a 5th-level light mage would be needed. A 5th-tier light mage? Gina gasped, covering her mouth in disbelief, her face filled with despair. Yes, a 5th-level light mage. Hans nodded heavily. There are only 3 light mages of this level in the entire Tarkan County, and they all have very strange tempers. Ordinary people can't hire them, even if they spend a lot of money. He didn't put it too bluntly. To put it bluntly, other nobles might be able to hire them, but the parent family is not. Gina swayed, and if Gade hadn't caught her in time, she would have fallen to the ground. Talk remained silent, his face full of worry. Father, Mother, you must save me. You must save me no matter what. I don't want to. I don't want to live my whole life without being a real man. I'd rather die than live like this. Let me die. Alan broke down in tears, pounding his fist on the bed. Don't do that, young Master Alan. The wound will tear. Hans hurriedly stopped him. To hell with the wound. I don't even care about my life anymore. Why should I care about it? Alan, you mustn't be rude to Dr. Hans. Talk said, maintaining his authority as a father. With tears welling in his eyes, Alan looked at him and said, Father, save me. If you still consider me your son, you must save me. I will never forget this kindness. What's the point of talking about gratitude between father and son? Tuk sighed. Don't worry. Even if I have to sell everything I own, your father will still save you. Father! Alan's tears flowed freely. Gina was also extremely upset, shouting angrily, Why should we pay for this? That Tate, he's a madman. He should have gone and hired a light mage. Otherwise, we will never let him get away with this. Hans shook his head and sighed. That Tate is a scoundrel. What can you do with him? Tuk Freunet. The town sheriff is his old comrade in arms. He's in cahoots with him. He'll cover for him at every turn, and we're really in the wrong here. It won't look good if word gets out. Let's just forget about it. Let's handle this ourselves. But how are we supposed to solve this? Gina looked at Hans expectantly. Can we hire a light mage like that for 100 gold coins? Hans shook his head with a wry smile. As far as I know, getting them to do something once costs at least 1,000 gold coins, and that's only because of their influence. If you don't have any personal relationships with them, I'm afraid. Gina's face was pale. 1,000 gold coins was already a sum their family couldn't afford. If it were more, they wouldn't be able to raise the money even if they sold everything they owned. Besides, even if we managed to collect them all, so what? After Alan is cured, will his family go to the city to beg for food? After thinking for a moment, Gina whispered, Alan, since you're out of danger, let's just leave it at that. Alan's face darkened. Mother, what do you mean by this? It's not that I don't want to treat you, but as you heard, my family simply can't afford to hire someone. We really have no other choice. No, 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 no. Alan screamed. I don't care. You have to find a way for me, no matter what. Gina frowned. Alan, can't you be a little more rational? What kind of attitude is this? Tell me, what do you want us to do? I don't care. Alan cried like a helpless child. Enough. Ted. Shut up. We absolutely have to get him treated. We'll figure out a way eventually. Nobody's allowed to say anything discouraging. Sigh. Then there's only one option. Gina looked longingly towards the door. She was looking at Winnie. Miss Winnie, may I come in for a moment? Gina smiled awkwardly. Winnie was taken aback when she was suddenly called out and immediately looked at Perseus. Perseus nodded slightly. Winnie braced herself and entered the room, her expression calm. Alan remained silent, turning his head towards the inside, not wanting Winnie to see him in his current state. Miss Winnie, you've seen the situation. We're really desperate. Can you help us? Gina pleaded. Alan is your classmate. After all, you can't just stand by and watch him suffer a fate worse than death, can you? Although I sympathize with your situation, it's not my fault that he ended up like this. Why do you make it sound like I have to help you? Winnie frowned slightly. Talk slapped Gina across the face, glaring at her fiercely. From this moment on, shut up. If you dare utter another word, I'll kill you. Gina covered her face, too afraid to speak any further, and retreated to a corner. Then Talk looked at Winnie with an apologetic expression. I'm sorry, Miss Winnie. It was my wife who was presumptuous, but please understand her feelings. She is a mother, and her child is suffering inhuman pain, so... It's all right, Winnie said. So, Miss Winnie, could you please think of a way? We'll do anything you ask if you're willing to help us. Winnie wasn't stupid. Although Talk's tone and wording were nicer than Gina's, he still wanted her to pay money to do him a favor. What can they do for her? Sorry, she really couldn't think of anything. Even if it were possible, so what? She came here because of Perseus, so of course she's on Perseus's side. Although this family were Perseus's parents and brothers, she was furious just by seeing how they treated him. It was already reasonable enough that they didn't kick him when he was down, let alone help him. Besides, it was Perseus's idea for Alan to become like this. So how could she possibly undermine Perseus? A 5th-tier light mage. Such a person is no ordinary person in the capital. My family does have a 5th-tier mage, but unfortunately, he is not a light mage, Winnie said. Do you have any friends who can help? Please introduce us. We would be very grateful. I don't have friends like that. My elders do, but to get someone like that to come would require a lot of favors. They would never incur so much debt for an outsider, Winnie said, rather coldly. But this is indeed a well-known fact. Talk knew perfectly well that he was betting that Winnie was naive and might impulsively agree to their humble request because of her kind heart. But he clearly underestimated them. Alan sobbed softly. More than the physical pain, Winnie's resolute decision caused him immense suffering. Although Gade looked serious, he was secretly overjoyed. He hadn't felt this happy in a long time. Indeed, other people's suffering is the best medicine, and his depression was cured instantly. Compared to his feelings, Talk and Gina were in extreme pain. Talk knew very well who was the only one who could solve this problem. Then he resolutely looked at the person standing at the door who was the source of Gade's depression. Perseus, please save your brother. Talk knelt down in front of Perseus with a thud. Gina was stunned for a moment, then ran over and knelt down as well. Chapter 123, quickly giving away. The person most shocked by Talk and Gina's sudden kneeling before Perseus was Alan, who was lying on the bed. Forgetting his own injuries, Alan stared blankly at the scene. Father, Mother, what are you doing? Kneeling? To Perseus? Alas, Alan, don't ask any more questions, Talk sighed. Now all you need to know is that if you want her body to return in normal, you can only beg for Perseus's mercy. Alan was stunned, unable to believe it no matter what. Old Hans also watched all of this with a shocked expression. He and the parent family were old acquaintances, and he knew their situation far better than most people. In his memory, the youngest son of the parent family was the least favored person. The family treated him like a servant, which even he, an outsider, couldn't stand. But since it was a family matter, he couldn't say much and could only remain silent. But now, it seems that something extraordinary has happened. However, he didn't ask too many questions about it, but simply kept it in mind. Father, Mother, please get up, Perseus said with a faint smile. You are my parents, yet you kneel before me, your child. What will others think if they see this? You are driving me to my death. I know we shouldn't be like this, but we really have no other choice. Tak said, his face full of sorrow. Your older brother is so young. He hasn't even married or had children yet, and he's already like this. If we can't restore him, even if we save his life, he'll still take his own life. Are you just going to watch your own brother die? I don't want to either, but I have no choice, Perseus said. I can't hire a 5th-tier light mage. If you insist on hiring one, I'll have to ask my girlfriend. That's a huge debt of gratitude. If I have to do that, how can I face her with my head held high? We're in a relationship as equals. Do you really think I'm some gigolo who can just throw a tantrum and ask her for anything? That's not what I meant. I know you're in a difficult position, but this is the only way right now. We'll try to make up for your losses, but let's save people first. Alan finally came to his senses. Ignoring old Hans's attempts to stop him, he struggled to get out of bed and knelt down before Perseus. Perseus, I'll give you anything if you can save me. I don't even need my title or my fortune. You're quite the charmer, Perseus smiled. The title and the estate belong to your father. Although you are the eldest son, it doesn't necessarily mean you will have everything. Besides, you're a cripple now. If the parent family title is passed on to you, who else can you pass it on to? In an instant, Alan broke down again, collapsing to the ground and sobbing. Tak and Gina both cried. Gade tried to force out a few tears, but he was too busy suppressing his laughter to have the energy. The room was filled with the sounds of crying and screaming. Winnie covered her ears and quickly left the room, then stood next to Ivisa and the others. Old Hans was at a loss, worried that seeing the parent family in such a sorry state would incur their resentment, so he tried to quietly leave with his apprentice. But his apprentice brushed his hand away, glaring at Perseus. Hey, they're your family. Aren't you sure you could just stand by and watch them die? Carol, shut up. Old Hans quickly shouted. Teacher, I won't shut up. Look at his arrogant attitude. I hate people who become arrogant when they get the upper hand. Carol pointed at Perseus and shouted. Old Hans frowned. His life motto was to always be kind to everyone and never make enemies. Moreover, he knew very well how this family had treated Perseus in the past, and he wholeheartedly supported Perseus' choice to stand by and do nothing. It's a pity that his foolish apprentice doesn't know the inside story. Young Master Perseus, please don't hold my apprentice against me. She's just a child and doesn't understand anything, Old Hans said sincerely. Teacher, ugh. Carol's mouth was forcibly covered by Old Hans. Perseus smiled gently, indicating that he didn't mind. Mr. Hans, please let Miss Carol speak. I'd like to talk to her. Old Hans hesitated for a moment, then released Carol. What do you want to talk about? Come on. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Carol stared with her big eyes. Miss Carol, from what you said just now, you seem to have a kind heart. Perseus asked. She's kinder than you. Carol scoffed. You seem to think that it's only right to help someone alleviate their suffering when you see them in pain. Yes. Isn't that right? Only a heartless villain like you would stand by and watch someone die, even if you are willing to make certain sacrifices? Nonsense. Of course, doing good deeds comes at a price, but it's something everyone should do, and we shouldn't shirk our responsibilities. Perseus raised an eyebrow and pointed at Alan. Do you feel sorry for him? Carol nodded. Are you willing to save him? Perseus asked again. Of course I'll save him if it can. Very well, I have a way to save him, but it will require you to pay a small price. Do you agree or refuse? Carol hesitated. What method? What's the price? I have the solution. You just need to consider the cost, Perseus said. Then tell me, what's the price? That's strange. You were so brave and fearless just now. Why are you cowering now? Perseus asked, puzzled. Weren't you willing to sacrifice yourself to save people? Are you just all talk? Who's talking big? Carol was instantly furious. You keep asking about the cost. Does that matter to you? So if you don't want to pay the cost, you refuse. Watch this poor person continue to suffer, put on a sad, helpless act, and then preach your empty platitudes to others. Perseus spoke in a mocking tone, then set Carol on fire. No way. I won't ask anymore, okay? I'll do whatever you want. Just save him. Are you satisfied now? Carol shouted. Carol. Old Hans was too late. Perseus nodded. Miss Carol, I want you to be my woman and obey my every command.